Oh, yeah, pena.
Oh, yeah, Dacias. Lorraine Sade, if you didn't receive my text, I did receive confirmation from Chief Francisco that a staff will be joining the call. If you could just let me know who's on the line and if we're ready to start the meeting. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Is anybody out there? Thank you.
Yeah, Dacias, we're here. We're just, I don't know if Lorraine is on the line. Sade, are you on the line with us?
There is a federal holiday. We might all know.
Good morning, Madam Chair. This is Donovan with the Office of the Speaker. I just want to let you know that there is an OLS staff. I don't know if it's Lorene or not, but we're trying to get a hold of her right now.
Okay, thank you. And TS Delegate, so are you talking about the new federal holiday?
The best holiday they ever made. Thank you. Juneteenth.
Thank you, Delegate. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Delegate. So I did see that President Biden did sign that into law. So for Navajo Nation, we would have to take action through our committees and change our personnel booklet that identifies what holidays we observe here on Navajo Nation. I don't think we had the time since all of this action took place this week. But I think that's something that we could work on together. Thank you, Shiaz.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Donovan, Shania, if you could just help me, who else is on the call? I'm going to try to log into my Zoom account.
Good morning. Looks like Lorraine is having a little bit of difficulties. Lorraine, if you're trying to unmute, it's *6. Madam Chair, you do have 9 participants on the line. You have Delegate Paul Begay, Delegate Brown, Delegate Vince James, and Delegate So.
Okay. Well, I believe we're in order to call the meeting. We have quorum. I would just need.
Hi, Amber. I'm on the line now. Can you hear me?
Oh, wonderful. Yes, we could hear you. Shade, I'd like to call the meeting to order at 8:08. If you could help with roll call, and I'm not sure if you have a recorder there to assist.
Okay, roll call for Sexual Assault Prevention Subcommittee. Honorable Amber Canals-Bockrati.
Delegate Amber Canals-Bockrati is present. Thank you.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown.
Delegate Brown is present. Go ahead.
Honorable Vince James,
Good morning, Delegate James present.
Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr., Honorable Eugene So, Honorable Paul Begay, Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr., Honorable Eugene So,
Oh, thank you.
Honorable Paul Begay,
I'm present.
Madam Chair, you have 5 members present. Thank you. Hello, Madam Chair. Hello?
This is Delegate Paul Begay. I'm present.
Okay, I got you, yeah. Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Lorraine, this is Donovan. Looks like Madam Chair has switched over to Zoom. She's connecting to audio right now.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Shada, this is Delegate Claudia. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I apologize, colleagues. When I went to connect to my phone, I was routed to another Zoom call. So we're at invocation. Delegate Eugene, so can you provide the invocation for us? I did see your email that today is a day of prayer for our police officers. So if you could assist. Thank you, Shiash.
Akashina, Asiba, Honey, I, which Yahudi, Inshawzi, Naiji Council, a shade of the Ding, Kuroshin Hojon, Ding Ade, yeah, Bigitan, Nastan, that over the town in Lado, every seat behind Lado, Shanding is getting started, Ado, the next Sado, Hanisado, the last epidemic, Shashin Bedini, to be Hindla. Ado ye just do now so be not able to know because Ani Nishilik Ila Kahlia. They have to be the cost of the cut up the feel to know a coronas, which is me 80 sheet is. The name because the nanny sort of competition. Banty either Nadi, if you know that also be a that on Nadi is again clinic to age. The same he did in the hollow. Conqueradish area. Mrs. Hinton, that Hardy Cons, Solabity, and the Hashin so easy to a bus of it is an eight about what is the Asan Trino. Those Tandahi ask what Chin, some leaning is a 9 and leaning ask we got it and leaning, was sweet designed and leaning art OK，记得把那些看到的视频看到大呀，这还知道啥呀？把反正知道啥应该的哈，这看到应该特别人呐，那真的跟我一看到问题呢，谢谢 ，Thank you, Amen.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. We'll move down to number 2. Colleagues, do we have any recognitions of guests or visiting officials? On the line, I'd just like to recognize that we are streaming live on our Navajo Nation Council Facebook stream. We do have Carmen Martin from Pinedale, Bert from Kienta, and Angie Frank from Two Gray Hills. So I just appreciate them being on the line, listening to the committee. Hearing no other guests, for the record, we do have an individual from Coalition to Stop Violence Against Native Women and Restoring Ancestral Winds and the Southwest Indigenous Women's Coalition. We can get those names for the staff as our meeting moves forward. Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals on the call that would like to be recognized for the record?
This is Christine Benelli with Nas Casa.
Okay, yes, Christine Benelli with Nas Casa. We do have a lot of some back.
Hi, Amber. Are you still there?
Oh, Lorraine, this is Donovan. It looks like Madam Chair might have lost her call.
Okay. Mr. Brown, are you on the line?
Yes, this is Delegate Brown. I am on the line right now. So where, staff, if you can help me, where are we on the agenda again?
We're recognizing guests and visiting officials.
Okay, Delegate Crotty did recognize the individuals on the calls. Next, we have item number 3, review and adopt the agenda. And if I can get a motion and a second for that.
Okay, I'm back on, colleague. So any other recognized guests? Okay, we'll move forward.
Okay,
with
actually,
This is Delegate Stewart. I'm online.
Yeah, I'm back on. I apologize, colleagues. I am having some challenges this morning staying on this call, but we'll move on to reviewing and adopting the agenda. If I could get a motion, or I'm sorry, Shada, can you read the agenda into the record? Thank you.
Thank you, Amber, Madam Chair. Proposed agenda of the Sexual Assault Prevention Subcommittee of Navajo Committee of Navajo Nation, 24th Navajo Nation Council regular meeting. Friday, June 18, 2021, presiding Amber Kanazat Crotty, Chairwoman, Nathaniel Brown, Vice Chairperson. 1, call meeting to order, roll call and invocation. Number 2, recognize guests and visiting officials. Number 3, review and adopt agenda. Number 4, review and adopt the journal. There's none. 5, receiving reports. A, report from Orlando Bowman, Information Management Services, Navajo Police Department regarding sexual assault cases. 6, old business, none. 7, new business, none. 8, close the meeting, announcement and adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Are there any, if I could receive a motion
Motion, Delegate Paul Begay.
Motion by Delegate Paul Begay. May I receive a second?
Delegate Stewart.
Delegate,
Oyate Delegate Stewart seconds. Are there any questions or modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Staff, if you could assist with the vote. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
We could hear you, Shadeja.
Okay, Honorable Nathaniel Brown. How do you vote?
Delegate Brown votes green.
Honorable Brown votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay votes green.
Honorable Begay votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable James votes green. Honorable Eugene So. Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Stewart votes green. Honorable Madam Chair, Amber Canespa Crowdy, you have 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 not voting, which is Honorable Madam Chair Crowdy not voting. Madam Chair.
I appreciate that, Shadeja. Thank you. As we move on to the agenda, number 4, we review and adopt journals. We have none. So we'll move on to receiving reports. Lorraine, if you could confirm that Mr. Bowman is on the line. We requested a report from Mr. Bowman, who's part of the Navajo Nation Police Department Information Management Services, to report on the sexual assault cases data. Thank you. Lorraine, is Mr. Bowman on the line?
Madam Chair, I haven't get on Zoom yet. Donovan, are you on the line?
Yeah, good morning. I do see Orlando's name on the board. Yeah.
Everybody, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let me just get a motion from the committee and a second, and we'll move forward with your report. Committee members, may I receive a motion?
Motion, Delegate Paul Begay.
Delegate Paul Begay motion. Second, was that Delegate Eugene So? Delegate Eugene So, did you second the motion?
Oh, the case.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Lorraine, thank you. If you could just mark that for the record. So, Mr. Bowman, if you could start your report. Thank you very much. You have 20 minutes.
Okay, let's go. Orlando Bowman, Program Supervisor, Information Management Section, Navajo Police Department. On the agenda, it does say regarding sexual assault cases. I'm not sure specifically what type of information is needed or being requested, because sexual assault cases is investigated by the majority of them are investigated by the Navajo Department of Criminal Investigation, and I believe Director Henderson provided you all a report at your last meeting, which I was not, which I didn't attend. IMS collects the data on the police side, as it's when officers respond to an incident. I do have some statistics for 2019 and 2020 as it relates to rape and sexual assault. And I do have, I'm having some problems with pulling up my data for January, February, and March of 2021 for sexual assaults. So in terms of statistics, one of the things that Navajo Police Department is doing is we're transitioning from uniform crime reporting to national incident-based reporting system. And it is a cumbersome task to move from one format to a different format when we had a vacancy of a statistical research analyst for over a year. And we've had somebody else, another one of my staff, excuse me, delegated statistical duties in addition to her regular duties. And she is doing the best she can to provide statistical data and also helping with the transition, which is ongoing from UCR to NIBRS. So for rate in 2019, we've had calls for service of officers responding to 337 allegations, and number of arrests in 2019 is 11. And in 2020, 249 allegations, and out of those, 5 of them resulted in arrests. So that's what I have. I'm open to any questions or more clarification of what type of information is being sought by the SAP. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman, for your report. May I ask that you send that information to our advisor, and she will distribute that to the committees. We did receive a report from Director Henderson. He was able to provide the last 5 years. So if that is something that you can also provide to the committee, we'd appreciate it as we compare what calls were made and ultimately the investigation and not only the arrest, but we'll be working with our U.S. Attorney's Office on successful prosecution. And our goal is to ask our Navajo prosecutors to start prosecuting these cases. I just want to clarify, I wrote down for 2019, did you say 371 cases? And what was the number of how many were arrested from that number? Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Madam Chair, again, for 2019, the year 2019, calls for service of allegations or alleged reporting for the Navajo Police Department as a whole, 337. Out of those 337, 11 formal arrests resulted. In 2020, 249 calls for service. The result was 5 formal arrests. So that's what I reported earlier. So we'll, in regards to your question of 5 years, I mean, I was not aware that you were seeking 5 years information, but we will go ahead and pull that information together, and I will. Who do I send it to?
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. If you could send it to Ms. Lorraine Spencer, she's the Sexual Assault Prevention Subcommittee advisor, and is also the advisor for the Law and Order Committee. So I believe you have her information. Thank you. Committee members, I'll open it up to the floor. Are there any questions from the committee regarding Mr. Bowman's report or additional information that you feel that we should have at this time as it relates to sexual assault cases here on the Navajo Nation? Thank you. Okay, committee members, not hearing none at this time. Mr. Bowman, I do have a few follow-up questions as you talked about the transition from UCR to NIBRS, can you provide a little bit more information about how that transition is occurring? When we pull our data for the last 20 years, it's been on UCR. Should we expect any deviance in the data and how it's being collected and inputted? Or what are some of the advantages with this new NIBRS system? I'm not exactly clear if this is a federal mandate. And the second question is, I was approached by Marcia Good, who is the executive director for the TAP program, and she asked if there should be training scheduled so that the different entities know the capability of TAP. If you could help me understand how NIBRS, if that will interact with TAP, or do we need to have that training from Marcia Good's office? Thank you.
Well, yes, Madam Chair. Uniform crime reporting was the primary. Well, first of all, it is a federal mandate. Well, federal mandate meaning FBI is the one that is requiring law enforcement organizations to transition from UCR to National Incident-Based Reporting System. UCR was a form of collecting data. Let's keep in mind that it's a voluntary collection of voluntary submission to the federal government. Navajo Nation has been providing data based on our BIA 638 contract to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, who then submits to the federal, to FBI. And we've been doing UCR format for as far as I can remember, or as far as I've been here. But my understanding is that we've been doing that since, more than 20 years. And the FBI issued a little over a year ago, or maybe a little longer, requirement to go to National Incident-Based Reporting System, which is basically, from a layman's perspective, more of every minor incident. It's basically trying to capture more data as opposed to what we used to call part one and other than part one, and then later on turn to part one and part two. Part one being the major crimes and part two being the non-major crimes. And the National Incident-Based Reporting System also requires companies that have a computerized record management system. Excuse me. My apologies. To transition into NIBRS so that data can easily be captured. Well, I shouldn't say easily, but so that law enforcement organizations can capture the data and be able to submit that. We are in the process of transitioning into NIBRS. We recently, earlier I mentioned that our position was vacant for, that our position, statistical research analyst position was vacant for over a year. And we had to advertise, I believe it was 4 times before we finally put somebody in there, and that individual started this past Monday. So we have a lot of catching up to do with this individual, and we already trying to have her hit the ground running in terms of learning more about NIBRS. So we do have a ways to go, and the BIA gave us a timeline to put UCR data, transition to go ahead and submit UCR data and then transition to NIBRS. And then there's a process of NCA, as they call it, National, I forgot what NCA stood for, where we do the transition from UCR to NIBRS. And it, excuse me, it's a confusing, it's convoluted process which we are trying to maneuver through, and when we're doing the best we can, now that we have a full-time SRA, we're going to try to go a little bit faster. But in the meantime, we did put UCR data to BIA up from January to March. We're still working on the NCA as it relates to April and May. And I believe your last question was, we don't use TAP for any of our reporting data. We primarily use TAP for background information and accessing information on the federal level on either. And for background information and federal information on potential applicants and any suspects, also using it for our sex offenders, capturing any information to on their background, and then also using it to put sex offenders information into the national database. There's other potential uses, but I don't think TAP is there yet for a daily use for like police dispatching or routine NCIC entries. We did inquire about TAP going in that capability, but not too many law enforcement organizations are using it in that capacity. There is one small organization in Oklahoma that's experimenting with it, but they still have a ways to go with routine daily operations of using the TAP for data entry. As for the training, I believe that's warranted so that you all can, if I understood the trainings for this year, the legislative SAP subcommittee, I encourage you all to get the training so you get an idea of what TAP is capable of. But we also, Ms. Good is the director on that portion, but our business relationship manager, his name is Mr. James Barrett, and that's who our point of contact is. Basically, Mr. Barrett is subordinate of Ms. Good. So, but I encourage you all to learn about it, and maybe your influence will help get NHA and Head Start to start using TAP on a more frequent basis. Obviously, I don't know, Chair Amber Crotty, that you're aware that we try to, when Judicial was a partner of TAP, and then later on decided to pull out of TAP. So maybe this group can convince the nomination judicial branch to get back involved in TAP. But current partners are Navajo Police Department Sex Offender Unit, the Office of the prosecutor who works with Office of Background Investigation for criminal history checks, social service for their in the event they need to place children, emergency placement, and also doing background checks on providers. Department of Corrections for criminal background checks, and also Department of Criminal Investigation, who's going to, for suspects and, people of interest as it relates to criminal investigation. Office of the Prosecutor, but only for background checks. We're hoping them we're hoping that they start using it a little bit more, And let's see, that's our current partners right now with users of TAP. Again, there's potential. And then we also have what they call a kiosk, which is the automated fingerprint identification system and computer apparatuses, peripherals. We call it a kiosk because it has all of this information, all the computers, the docking station, APHIS in a specific location, and where our partners can use it if they need to, use the APHIS machine primarily for APHIS machine. We have 2 in Window Rock, 1 at Social Service Admin Building, and then, well, I'm sorry, we only have 1 in Window Rock, and we're proposing to add another location, but more where on the criminal justice components can use it more and have access more readily. And then we do have 1 in Crown Point, 2 in Kayenta, well, 1 in Kayenta, and I don't know if Raymond Navajo, I know they submitted an application, but I don't know if they, what the status is on theirs. I believe they're still going through the review process. And we are looking at placing a kiosk in Tuba City. Another way for TAP partners to use it is through this basic computer having access to specific databases and putting in specific information or into the various criminal justice databases for search requirements on specifics. But you also get the training in order to access TAP, criminal justice information training and NCIC training. Because you just don't get access. You got to take some training first before you can be allowed access. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. We'll look into coordinating that training and understanding what are some of the challenges and judicial branches' concern in why they opt out. I believe we'll need to make modifications to Title 17, and it's my understanding that the Law and Order Committee is working on Title 17. Committee members, do you have any questions for Mr. Bowman and the data that he presented to the committee?
Yeah, this is Delegate Brown. I have one question.
Yeah, Aishaz, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I've been in on Mr. Bowman. Thank you for your presentation. It's important that we keep the information up to date and how leadership can help assist in protecting our Navajo people, especially the vulnerable population. With that, I wanted to know if you have any data, any information on the Navajo people being sex trafficked. I know that we did have 3 cases when we passed the law, but I'm not sure what the latest data is on that. I know that we have, we'll be presenting to, and this is important because we're looking at other funds from the federal government and also partnering up with other law enforcement departments around the Navajo Nation that are non-Navajo. So we just want to make sure that we have the latest information. I know that there's limited staff, but if you have any information, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Brown. Mr. Bowman?
Honorable Brown and Chair Amber Crotty. I'll have to look into your requests, sex trafficking, because that's not something routinely we capture. I don't know if Director Henderson is on the line. Perhaps he can add to that, but I will go ahead and go with checking our database and see what we can capture in terms of sex trafficking. But again, I believe criminal investigation might have that information. I don't know yet. Like I said, I don't know if Director Henderson's on the line. Madam Chair.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Committee members, do you have any other questions for Mr. Bowman? Mr. Bowman, as we end the report, do you have any recommendations? So I have on here TAP training for the committee, understanding neighbors, your challenges with a statistician. And at one point I did hear that there was a possible partnership with ASU to assist understanding the data, like the interpretation of the data, understanding if there's any hotspots. And I know you don't have the answer because the amount of cases that are reported are well over 300, but we have less than 15 arrests. So I need to understand what's going on there, and the committee needs to understand what's going on. We're going to be participating in the upcoming tribal consultation in August. So if you have any recommendations, we are pulling together that document, and I could add that to our recommendations to our federal partners on how they can assist Navajo Nation with interpreting our data. There is technology out there, crime prevention technology, and so we do want to start mapping these incidents. I know there's lack of resources here on Navajo personnel, that with these partnerships we can get some of the universities or entities to assist us with analyzing our crime, because our goal for the committee is prevention. If you could provide any recommendations, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, Madam Chair, the primary with it, recommendation is Navajo Nation Council has a resolution that goes back to 2002, I think it was, which I can, or one of your assistants can pull up the data. It is the resolution that states Navajo Nation is going to develop an integrated criminal justice system. And it was in 2002, and here we are in 2021. And we still have not addressed that integration. So perhaps this subcommittee or LOC, whichever one who has the authority to have get a report regarding that council resolution that was initiated in 2002, might be a first step into collecting data. Secondary is the Navajo Nation Data Center. I mean, that's just my perspective, because we need to be able to look, where's a data resource that we can put data, and Navajo Nation organizations based on the Navajo Nation Privacy Act can access that data. And then the third one would be capitalize on necessary funding to enhance our infrastructure so that we can routinely share and commit data to within the Navajo Nation government. Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. I appreciate those recommendations. In looking through our ARPA funding for the program, I'll make sure that those areas can be addressed. I do know we have a $42 million proposal to help with the E911, and which includes a new building to house some of the technology there. So I hope this can complement. As we end the report and the meeting, colleagues, are there any other questions? Hearing none, I'll move to the vote. Shaveja, can you help us with the vote on the report? Thank you very much. Shorel, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you. You have to mute *6. Lorraine, I'm not sure if Sherelle's having some technical challenges. I'll do the vote. So Delegate Brown, how do you vote?
I vote green.
Delegate Paul Begay, how do you vote?
Green.
Delegate Vince James, how do you vote? Delegate Vince James, how do you vote? Delegate Eugene So, how do you vote?
Vote is all set.
Oh, it's how it says. Delegate Wilson Stewart Jr., how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you. Let's see, how does she do this? Oh, with a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstained, Chair Crotty not voting. Thank you very much. I appreciate your report, Mr. Bowman, and I think you highlighted some of the challenges we see here on Navajo Nation. Thank you. Moving on, committee members. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Delegate James. So for the record, it's 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstained, Chair Crotty not voting. Thank you. Number 6 is old business is none. 7, new business is none. We'll close the meeting. May I get a motion for adjournment?
Delegate Brown.
Delegate James.
Delegate Brown motion, second by Delegate James. Are there any announcements? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Shadeja, Sherelle, are you back on the line?
Yeah, I'm here
Delegate
now.
Cardi, this is Delegate Brown. Really quickly, we just have in about 8 minutes, we have our Denebizad subcommittee. I think most of the members here will transition to that call. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Brown. We did want to end our call by 9 o'clock so that we can fully participate in the Denebizad subcommittee. Thank you. Any other announcements? Colleagues, it's going to continue to be extremely hot, so just take care of yourself and your community members. Shaveja, if you could help with the vote, and our next meeting will be July 23rd, 2021. We usually meet at 10 o'clock, but if there's another meeting scheduled, we try to accommodate. So that's the purpose of our meeting today at 8 o'clock. So if you could move forward with the vote, I'd appreciate it, and everyone be well. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Nathaniel Brown, how do you vote?
I vote green. Yeah.
Honorable Nathaniel Brown votes green. Honorable Paul Begay.
Delegate Begay votes green.
Honorable Paul Begay votes green. Honorable Vince James.
Delegate James votes green.
Honorable Vince James votes green. Honorable Eugene So.
Vote is all set.
Honorable Eugene So votes green. Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr.
Green.
Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. votes green. Honorable Madam Chair Crowdy, you have 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 not voting, which is the Honorable Madam Amber Knusbach Crowdy not voting. Madam Chair.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Shadeja. I appreciate everyone on the line. This meeting has been recorded, and so if you want to go back and hear some of the recommendations, or if you want to get more involved, please email Lorraine Spencer, and she can add you to our listserv so you can receive the agenda and get more information on how we, as a subcommittee, address sexual assault prevention here on Navajo Nation. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Hagwana.
Okay,